Hey everyone, glad to have you back. Episode 8 of the BGR podcast. I am Wara, and this is Jimmy FornaTRON. How the hell are you, mate?
Doing all right. You almost forgot my name. This is.
Oh, you got too many names. Is he Jimmy?
Is
he FornaTRON?
I mix it up because sometimes I go by Jimmy, sometimes I just go by FornaTRON, but whatever. Doing all right, man. How the hell have you been? I've been really excited to see everyone's reaction to the last episode and then the epic game of BGR Jeopardy that we played. And just been living high off of that. But we'll get into it in a second here. I did have a massive turd dropped into my week. How about you?
Yeah, I don't know if you're telling the truth or whether you want me to bring up the fact that my car got smashed last night.
I didn't want to bring that up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I wasn't sure. I was like, yeah. So I went into the supermarket, came out, and there's two women holding this guy from trying to run away, and he smashed into my car, and I'm just like, give me your license. Anyway, so nothing happened other than that. We're going through insurance. He's perfectly safe and healthy. What a week it's been. What happened to you? What happened with you, Jimmy? Tell me what happened.
Before we get into that, I just got a comment though. Like, Wara showed me the picture, and it's not like a slight scratch. Like, his bumper got fucked up. If I get like a scratch on one of my rims, it pisses me off for like the rest of the day. Like, I'm cooked. So I can't even imagine how you felt. But
I'm glad. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, go. Yeah.
I was gonna say I'm glad everyone's safe, but like that's still a piss off, even going through insurance for all that shit. But I'm glad no one got hurt.
It was good the two Samaritans did hold him there. I very much appreciate them for doing that.
Yeah, the two Samaritans were Aloy and Ellie from The Last of Us.
yeah. I couldn't talk to them for very long. They annoyed me, but yeah, no. I'm
no. We did this anyway, so you'd have more favorable things to say about the PS5 Pro.
yeah. That's it.
Yeah, the massive turd that I was talking about that got dropped into me this week is the Starfield Shattered Space DLC, which I begrudgingly played through because I noticed, I was like, I'm not going to play that. But I noticed that I did already get it for free because I paid for the SMFOB edition way back when the game released so I could play it 3 days early. And a part of that's the Suck Me Off Fuckboy edition, for those of you who don't know or are new to the show. And that one gives you 3-day early access to the game, but it also, I think it just gives you all of the future expansions for free. So I got Shattered Space for free. I activated the good old Game Pass PC subscription. I knocked that bitch out in like 6 hours. And I was like trying to go through everything. I've heard other people finish it in like 4 or like 3.5 hours. But my review should have dropped by the time that this video comes out. And I did not have a lot of nice things to say about it.
I'm looking forward to that. I bet it's going to be a blast. Thank you so much, Jimmy, for taking one for the team, because I also have access, and I'm so glad I didn't have to do it.
Yeah.
You've been taking a beating with these games lately with Outlaws and this and. Yeah.
Pretty much, like, if it's not a From Software game, I'm taking a beating. But no, I offset it by playing Final Fantasy 16 on glorious PC Master Race. Ooh. Everything maxed out, and even with my questionable hacks that people are giving me shit for since announcing them. It's funny when you watch the gameplay, it's just like, I think the specials cool down a lot faster than what you're saying, Jimmy.
Yeah,
they're pretty instant.
Like you finished it. Yeah, you've already shown you finished it. It's just like a fun run, so I understand. Yeah. Like it's not like you can't finish. You can finish it. Plus, we don't play games to prove to other people what we're capable of. We're doing it to enjoy ourselves. And
exactly, we've both done that before, and we weren't happy with the end result, so never again. Maybe I'll throw the footage up here, but me and Wara were sharing this with each other off stream. I was shocked at the disparity between quality between the PS5 in performance mode for Final Fantasy 16 to the PC version. I was just like, whoa. I was like, wow, I didn't even know there was that much of a difference. And I'm not using any trickery. I recorded my footage straight off the console. This is with the console's built-in screen recording. And then I just put it up against my PC footage, and just the level of detail, the texture quality difference, the lighting difference, it is pretty massive. So Yeah, like I didn't think it was that bad, but the game is still a great looking game on PS5. But I was just like, whoa, it's like it almost feels like you're taking like a smudged pair of glasses off, and then you're looking at it like, or like you got like a dirty screen protector on your phone, and you take that off and you look at the true screen for the first time. But no, that's kind of been my nice little getaways playing FF16. What have you been playing? You finished the Plucky Squire. You finished Astrobot. What have you been playing this week?
So I have been crushing some Space Marine 2, and that game, I take it back. I feel like that's going to be Game of the Year, at least a contender, because I didn't have it on my list. And I know Henry was had it up there, and I know he's like really heavy on it, and I was enjoying it too. But once I rolled credits on that campaign, man, I was just like, yeah, this can't be snubbed, surely. But time will tell. I'm not going to get too salty about it, but I just definitely think it's really is that great. Been playing the co-op stuff, and the game just runs so well. It's great. Like the review for that's going to be out not by the time this recording's out, but very, very soon after, hopefully. I don't want to rush it. I want to do it. Obviously, we don't rush things here, but yeah, I want to give that a solid go of the PvP and those co-op. So it's got a cool thing where while you're doing the campaign, there's another team that does a mission that helps you do the campaign, right?
Oh,
it's not real time, obviously, but you're doing the other side of a mission, if you get what I'm saying. It's like, the main campaign goes in one way, and then the operation showing the other half of that for like what happened during the campaign of how it transpired. And so like you fight a boss that you didn't fight in the campaign. I'm like, wow, this is like a full boss as a side content operation mission to do, right? And it's a really cool fight, and I really like that because some games, like let's say God of War 2018, they complain about how long it takes to make a boss, and then they've got other games that are just chucking a boss in a side content. Anyway, moving on.
That made me just think of, did you ever see that movie Tenet by Christopher Nolan?
Yes.
So like while like A team is like moving forward in time and B team is moving backwards in time, but you're both working in the same mission, I'm just like, like that sounded awesome. But I think that's like one of those hidden bangers. Space Marine 2 came out of nowhere. It was kind of like, Warhammer. It's just like, like that's like a bunch of nerds fucking follow that shit. But no, like I'm hearing a lot of hype about that game. Like not just Henry, not just you just now, but a lot of people are playing that game and just like, like this is like the best of Gears of War with some like all the best parts about Warhammer, and it's just a really good action-packed action game.
Action.
I believe that it's a great game. I don't think it'll win Game of the Year. My predictions are it'll get nominated, but I think it could be one of those games that wins like best shooter game or best because they have like those separate categories. It's like best shooter or best FPS or best action game. So it'd be one of those. Yeah, one of those. Yeah, I'm not trying to say it's definitely going to win Game of the Year. Just I feel like it's can
pretty
say
good.
That though.
I feel like it's at this point in time it's probably going to be nominated. So yeah,
that's right.
Also playing some Echoes of Wisdom, Zelda, and that TikTok you sent me, Jimmy, 100% on point. Oh my god, the TikTok Jimmy sent me was about how there's so many different things to summon, but everyone just uses the beds that you saw in the trailer, and it's so damn true because they don't fall down holes. You can just use them as a staircase and stuff like that, and they're so versatile. The only thing they don't do is damage things, so you can't use them as on enemies. So I just spam my fire boy to kill enemies, but still, it's that's a great game. So that review will be out later as well. But
I should have had it ready to so we could react to it right here. But it's basically like someone memeing that like Nintendo put all this effort into all of these things that Zelda can like summon, and they're like, but what's the most popular one? It's like, the bed by a long shot, and it's like they're not just using the bed to get through all of the puzzles, right? And they're like, they are. It's overpowered.
Yeah, because you can get a fan and things like that. Like I don't want to give too many spoilers what you can summon away because some people like not knowing, but the funny thing as well is you get other beds. Well, I've got at least another bed, but the joke was that you just still use the base bed. The first one you get is like from a prison, and yeah, you got these nice fancy beds. But no, I'll have the basic bed. I don't want to dirty the nice one.
Yeah,
but yeah,
you're
so
like, no,
that's
I'll
great
just
as well.
use the one. It goes in the square hole. It's that meme.
Yeah. Oh, it's great. It's great. It's just a fun game. Nintendo's slamming down some fun down your throat. Like, just say it ain't so. That's just what they do best.
I feel like every year Nintendo just like drops like a truly fun game around fall, like late summer, fall. Last year it was Super Mario Wonder. Excellent game. But yeah, like I can't pause for a second here. Yeah. I can't believe that the Switch has been out for 7 years, going on 8 years, and they're still releasing these really fun games for that system, and they look great. And that console has the compute power of like a fucking 2014 Samsung phone. So like it's just like, it's so insane that they're able to push out stuff that still rocks. And a lot of people argue, well, a lot of them are just Wii U ports. It's like, well, no one bought the Wii U, so they were like, we put all that work into making that game, we might as well put it on a console that people are actually playing. So
because people won't whinge when people port a Vita game across to PlayStation, because not many people bought the Vita. So,
and you just think of just like, not gonna lie, like I'm happy with my PlayStation 5, and I'm sure a lot of people are as well, and a lot of people are happy with like their Xboxes. But like when you look at the amount of games that like the two current consoles are getting, and then you look at like what's happening on the Switch, you're like, wow, it kind of feels like they are bankrupt on ideas on the current consoles, because like no, it doesn't feel like that much is coming around. But I'm just always impressed with Nintendo's output.
Yeah, 100%. And then they got Brothership coming out later as well. Jesus.
Yeah,
later this year. Yeah, and then I've been playing a bit of Sackboy as well, with the twins.
Yeah. That was your recommendation last week. I've been tempted, but like I got too much to play, so like I still want to get into that.
Yeah. Well, let's move into our first topic. All right, now Nvidia 50 series leaks. Now, none of these are set in stone, but a lot of the previous leaks end up being very, I'm going to say the word accurate. You may refute the word accurate, but I feel like they were pretty close for the 40 series and stuff like that. So
educated guesses.
Yeah. So let's dive into the leaks, see what it could mean for the GPU market and what it might shake things up for gamers looking to upgrade. And let's discuss the performance expectations and what we think the price points are going to be. I'm expecting super high. Say it ain't so.
Nosebleed prices.
Yeah.
$800. I am so fucked.
Exactly. So the leak is, I'll just start off with some basic stuff, then I'll let you jump in. I know you're a lot more learned on these at the moment.
Means
I know
dork, everybody.
Yeah, you did.
I don't have these glasses for no reason, okay?
You did mention, I'm not sure if you were being dead serious or you were just seeing my reaction, but you were mentioning you were thinking about ripping the Band-Aid off on a 5090 when it launches. Is that correct?
That is true. And I'm going to tell you why, everybody. So I know a lot of like console war fanboy-esque type people. They always say like, they always compare their console and they're like, oh, you'd have to get like a 4090, like you got to be like in the PC Master Race. It's like, no, you don't. Like, no, you don't. You could be rocking like a 60 series Ti card and like crush a ton of games and like really good fidelity. The reason why, because I have a 3080, and at the time that I got that card, it was the top of the line. Well, there was the 3090, but that was like overdose ridiculous. And a lot of those features that you get in the 90 series cards versus the 80 series cards are more beneficial if like you use your computer for like your daily driver, and when you do like a lot of, let's say, creation type stuff, so like video editing, photo editing, that kind of stuff. I don't use my PC for video editing. I do all my video editing on my Mac because I'm a Mac user. Shocker.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah. So I got the 3080 because that was just like the dollar per performance was just like really good, and that just like it crushed, and it still crushes, because the big seller for me for the 40 series was frame generation. So it was the newer version of DLSS and frame generation in which they locked out of the 30 series cards. And is it because those cards couldn't do it? Questionable. Like, I think it's more that they just like wanted to have exclusive features for their latest flagship series of cards, because why wouldn't you? Because you want to sell those cards, right?
That's right. It's like putting
and with the lineup of games that came out this year, so apart from maybe like Alan Wake 2, but like Wukong, Final Fantasy 16, Dragon's Dogma 2, what other games have I played? A ton of games. All of them I've been, and plus I play on a 1440p monitor, so I'm not playing in 4K because I have a 1440p 165 hertz monitor. So I'm playing in 1440p. All of those games, max settings, easily going above like 90 FPS, going in the hundreds. An amazing time. And some of them I'm even able to turn on ray tracing and be above 60 FPS, but I usually prefer to play in the higher frame rates. And that's still on this aging graphics card. So I want the card to last me another like 4 years. So that's why I think this time around I'm thinking about getting the maximum top of the line 5090, even though it's going to cost the price of like a 2018 Toyota Camry but yeah, like that's where my mind's heading. But like, I'm thinking about it as well. I was like, what games are coming out that are even like pushing the fidelity? Do we have confirmation if like Grand Theft Auto 6 is releasing on PC day and date? Like, that might be console exclusive for the first little bit, because they usually don't release on PC till like a while later.
That's correct. I don't believe there's even a date for PC, but it's likely going to be 6 to 12 months, let's just say. But I'm trying to scan my memory. I don't know if they specifically said it definitely won't. I feel like there was an interview where they said they just want to make sure it's running good on consoles first. But yeah, and that's what they historically do. Apparently, they
Hellblade 2, I was able to play like 90 FPS, like really high, and that was on max settings. I'm just looking through my games that I beat this year. The only reason why I said exception with Alan Wake 2 is because that game has a ton of ray tracing in it, and that's the whole thing, is all the ray tracing features. And when you turn all that shit on, your frame rate's gonna tank. But like, I had it on like modest ray tracing settings, and I was able to be around 60 FPS and a little bit above, but I was not able to go into like the hundreds or even like 90 FPS for Alan Wake 2. But they put out updates since to make it more compatible with older graphics cards, and the performance is a little bit better, I think. But like, like the 3080 still crushes to this day.
100%. Yeah, great card. I've got one here in the rig I'm building for my brother-in-law, and he's upgrading a couple of things. And let's get back to the leak. So sorry to sidetrack so much, but thank you for that info.
Sorry for ranting.
no, that's all good. No, I just wanted, because you did mention it. It'll be great for reviews as well. Just see what the top of the line can do. It'll be great for the channel. So
I just want to play like Asmongold plays and just put everything to maximum and just like brute force every single game and just feel like exactly. I'm turning everything up to the highest setting. That's
it, 100%. So the 5080 is meant to be, from this leak, about 10% faster than the 4090. It's going to have things like GDR7 7 RAM, and the power consumption for the 5090 is said to be 600 watts of power consumption, and then for the 5080 is meant to be 450. But I just want to say something that Gamers Nexus said, and I'll quote, this is a quote: "Sometimes these numbers refer to the total cooling capacity that Nvidia is advising partners to design for, meaning the cooler should be able to sustain that much rather than the GPU itself." So then this next bit, so the 600 watt may not be accurate, as the 4090 leak was not true in the end. So just for anyone wanting to get caught up on the 600 watt number, Gamers Nexus was just clarifying that there might be a chance that it might not be that high. But yeah,
no, it's never that high because they said the same thing about the 4090 and exactly what Wara just said. So that's a tech spec that they give out to the partners that make all the different graphics cards, because Nvidia, they make their Founder series, but all of like there's like MSI, there's Zotac, there's all the other brands that make graphics cards. So they got to give them technical specifications to match between, so the their chip works and their cards. So that 600 watts or 650 is like absolute maximum peak load, and like their cooling has to be able to match that wattage. You're never gonna reach that if you're just gaming. Like you're probably gonna still, I think Digital Foundry said it was like in the 350 to 400 range. This is the 4090 at maximum load. So that's when you're doing like AI applications or scientific applications with the card, and you're just like you're peaking it at all times, but you're never doing that when you're gaming. So as long as you have like 1,000-watt power supply, you should be okay. But I would just always double check before you upgrade any major component. Make sure that your power supply is up for the task and able to hit that component's needs, because you never want to be like undervolting or not supplying enough power. That's always the worst. But yeah, when I first saw that 5090's power requirement, I was like, ooh, that's like 600 watts is a lot. But I immediately like went on, I was just like, will my power supply be able to handle it? And it's like, yes. So that's just one of those things you don't cheap out on, is your power supply. Always future proof yourself. Don't like just get yourself to the bare minimum to what you want right now, because then you just end up having to replace more shit when you want to upgrade.
100%. Are there more specs you sort of want to dive into with the GDR7 RAM and stuff like that?
That stuff is cool. Like it's a nice little, like for me, like I'm never like super excited about specs, because to me there's numbers. I expect it to be like 10% better than the previous year's highest end model. They usually do that. Like they'll be like, this year's 70 card is better than the 80 card of last year, and like vice versa. And it's like, I expect those things. What I'm really looking forward to, and that really hasn't been rumored yet, what is Nvidia's next feature that they're going to make limited to the 50 series cards? Like, is there going to be like some crazy new version of DLSS that absolutely fucking takes a shit on Pisser? Is there like some new version of frame gen? DLSS already dunks on Pisser, so don't even worry about that. But like just to see where like their next version of DLSS and like how much better it's going to be. What is their next feature set going to be? And like, are they going to just lock it out to the 50 series cards, or are they going to do something crazy and then make it available on all cards? Who knows? That's what I'm most looking forward to in the official announcement.
So my prediction is that they're not going to lock it behind, and I want to sort of defend that point. Is the reason I believe they locked the 40 series with the DLS3 3.5 and frame gen was because they made a mistake with the 30 series, in that they made it too much of a leap, and it was so powerful, and everyone's like, wow, why did I even bother buying a 2080 Ti? This thing just gets crushed immediately. Like a year later, or however soon it was after. So the 40 series, like we've discussed previously, the 40 series wasn't a massive jump from the 30 series. And people were like, well, the last series from the 20 to 30 was huge, and now it's not as much. So I feel like they held that back to sort of make it so that it was more justified. Like, oh, you're not getting that, but you're going to get this. So that's how I sort of saw that. So I feel like with the 50 series, they're going to be smart again, like car manufacturers are with high-end sports cars. And every car is, everything wants to be that slight incremental increase. So there's always a reason to buy the newer model. I used to watch Top Gear a lot when it had Jeremy Clarkson, etc. on it, and they would always say, make a prediction before they do a lap around the track in a Porsche and go, well, it's meant to be between these two models, so I guarantee you it's going to sit there, because they test it and they know that's what they do. So they're just setting it up to sit between a certain grid there, and then lo and behold, it sits there. So I feel like what you're saying about frame gen and stuff like that, like the next thing they could step forward, because like PIS is coming in and competing with current DLSS, but DLSS is about to have a new like go to the 50 series, and likely have a very big improvement stepping forward. So maybe it's just going to get blown out of the water. I still respect Pissa for being on console and being console centric.
Absolutely,
but
and for it being PlayStation's like first avenue into AI upscaling, like kudos. I think that's a huge win. It's like, I think they've secretly been working on it ever since like the checkerboard upscaling days of the PS4 Pro, but like it's still, I'm making a joke of it. It's very impressive still.
Yeah. So I just want to clarify that to people. We're not sitting there trying to knock it down and say it shouldn't be there, but like, let's come back to reality. It's in its infancy. It's going to get better. We know Sony will support it. It's gonna get better in the future. But for now, DLSS is crushing its competition in FSR and PSSR. So I agree with you, Jimmy. I feel like it would be exciting if the 50 series does come out and Nvidia releases some newer upscaling or some sort of thing. And I sort of mentioned here like with AI, but I know DLSS does utilize AI. But maybe some sort of other integration that does something. But, they've got the upscaling with DLSS, frame generation's dealing with the frames. I'm at a miss as to what the next step could be. I don't know. They're just they're ticking all the boxes already. But, do you have any sort of thoughts on what they could? What's another bottleneck sort of?
So one thing I thought of while you were discussing there was that a skeezy thing that Nvidia kind of did when they released the 40 series cards is they released benchmarks of the 40 series versus the 30 series. And then at first it was like, whoa, those are so much better. But that's because with the 40 series benchmarks, they were including frame generation. So for those of you who don't know, frame generation essentially like almost doubles your frame rate. So it's just like, holy shit, those are something. But they redacted that and they've released more numbers. And like Wara just said, like, it was more like an incremental update. Like it wasn't like that big of a difference, but it's because they have those locked features to that series. Was like more desirable about them. I think what they can do is, because I think they've already announced that the 5080 is rumored to have 16 gigs of video memory, and then people were kind of let down by that number because the 5090 has 32 gigs, which is insane for a graphics card. So it's like, why the huge disparity? Like, why not have like a 24 gig 5080 or something like that? I think that maybe with their newest version of DLSS or frame generation, the amount of video RAM that it needs to use the upscaling and the frame generation features is going to be condensed. They're going to find some way to like compact it or make it utilize less resources. So the remainder resources are available for maximum game performance and then maximum resolution as well. And they're going to have some way of like compressing memory, or I don't know, something to do like with memory efficiency. I think that's going to be the next big feature, because I always think about, this is dating me, and then this is also just like outing me as a nerd. I remember on Mac OS when they announced Mac OS Maverick, which was I think in 2014, and one of the big features that they pushed with that operating system was all of the behind the scenes efficiencies that they improved. And then they're like, we made it so in the operating system that it's so efficient that even if you have 4 gigs of RAM, it'll be like you have 6 gigs of RAM. And it's because of how efficient it is. So that's a really old example, but I feel like my prediction, 50 series, they're going to do something with memory efficiency. And then so it's not as taxing to use those features. That's my prediction.
Okay, so if that does end up being true, then I'd feel like that would be locked behind the 50 series. That makes sense. Yeah, 100%.
Because it's under their new architecture that's going to be used for like, is it Blackwell? Yeah, Blackwell for all their new like super AI computers. So I feel like that it's going to be, behind that hardware. Yeah.
So I just want to make a point as well, just about NVIDIA releases. And while I'm not like overall super happy with their practices overall, I like that they stagger releases. And the reason I like it is because it makes it so that imagining it from a logistical perspective, from a storefront, the consumer buying the products when they're releasing. Imagine releasing six or seven different products in different like levels all at once, I think it would flood the secondhand market. It would make it so that people have to like jump on. It would be more likely to be botted. So I really like they stagger their releases. So they're likely to release the 5090 and the 5080, and then do a revised like 5080. I've heard they might be doing a 24 gig 5080 later, and then they'll do the 5070, 5060 and stuff like that later. Like if we look at the 30 series or the 40 series and how they stagger releases, I think it's really good, and like it is pro consumer. As frustrating as it is, there is one downside where you might want to see the whole spread of everything and make a decision. You can still make a decision on a decision at any point in time, because there's always people upgrading. Like Jimmy's mentioning, he might be upgrading from a 3080 to a 5090. So that puts a 3080 on the secondhand market, assuming he goes to sell it and doesn't do something else with it, repurpose it.
I might just throw it in the garbage.
No,
I wouldn't do that.
Scumbag. What a scumbag. But yeah, so like, so if you're a PC gamer or you're someone looking to shift over, we believe, this is BGR Recommends suggested point at it's a BGR recommendation for now, is if you're about to buy GPU, just wait. Or if you're about to, upgrade or buying new and building a PC, just wait until we get the solid actual prices, etc., for the 50 series, the 50, 80, and 90, because you might want to buy secondhand, and people are going to be clearing out that secondhand card. Like, let's assume Jimmy doesn't chuck his in the trash.
Yeah, a lot of people are just like, because they want to fund their next purchase, right? So they're going to they want to get the highest amount for their card, so they're going to be selling it off. So, but also, it's all part of great marketing, because if you were to just release your whole lineup all in one go, somebody who may have purchased a 5080 or 5090 might go like, you know what, I think I'm fine with the 5070 or the 5060. 100%. But if you release your high end first, all the people with FOMO are like, well, I got to get a 5080 or a 5090. They're going to get all that first. And then all those people will buy up those cards. And then when the 5070, 5060 releases, those mid-range people will buy those, but some of them might go, you know what, I actually do want a 5080, so I'll get that. So it's smart to have tiered like that, because
1,000%.
Yeah, because other companies have learned that when you release your whole series, a lot of people usually will step down a notch or two and justify that purchase rather than just going for the higher end that they initially wanted.
It's all psychology, and because I'm really frustrated with the PS5 Pro and the PS 30th anniversary being done at the same time. I think that was a marketing, I'm not going to say the word nightmare, but I think it was a mishap. I don't like that it was done like that. I think having them released the same day just made, because just the people I've spoken to were talking about how they wanted to get one, but if they didn't get that, they wanted to get the other one. And so, yeah, I like that Nvidia does this. And yes, I'll definitely FOMO, and, consumers will drop themselves down if they're given the choice. So, yeah.
And just so we're not like branded as like Team Green over here for Nvidia, I know there have been AMD rumors about like their next graphics cards, which would be their 8000 series, I think, because they're on the 7000 series. But from what I've been seeing on the internet, this was an official topic, but in AMD, they're not going after the super high end. So I don't think they're going to make anything that's going to compete with the 5090 or maybe even the 5080. I think they're after that mid-tier market. So they're after the people that are looking for like 4060s, 4050s, or 3050s, or old 3060 Ti's. I really do hope that AMD comes out with their own. I think they're working on it. I think there's been rumors or maybe some official announcements that they're working on their own AI upscaling, because FSR is just not doing it. Like, I think that was like a good pivot for the time, because they didn't really have anything for AI upscaling, but it's just really showing it's not holding up versus these modern games. But I think just more competition is better, because when you have one player that is just so clearly dominating the market, they're able to get away with tactics like a 3080 was like $800, and then a 4080 was $1,300. So like these like insane price increases.
Competition's good. That's 100%.
And if you think that the 50 series is going to be lowered in price, you're dreaming. Like, they're probably going to raise the price. So expect to pay expect to pay 20 to 30% more than what you think that the thing's going to cost. And that's just because they don't really have anyone pushing them in that way.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, competition for me, I'm a big sticker on wanting competition, and I part of me wants to get an AMD card, and I may end up getting one. But once again, I'm waiting to get a new card after the 50 series, 5090 and 5080 is announced, and I feel like that wraps up that segment. You got anything else to add, Jimmy?
No, like I just think definitely I'm excited for these new graphics cards. I'm really excited for what they announce, and I think it's just like a really good time to get into the PC gaming space and start to plan out your build. But no, I'm just enthusiastic.
All right, moving on to the next segment, discussing all of Ubisoft's positive news for this week.
Absolutely, that they're potentially being bought out by Tencent. Their whole team is going to get fired, so no more bullshit games and with lame characters and stupid fetch quests, and no more crawling through vents. And yeah, I think it's a great move.
It's funny because you sort of ruined my joke, because my joke was okay, moving on, and just I was going to say nothing. I was going to say nothing and all right, moving on.
All right, moving on.
Yeah.
But I was like, no, this is good news. No, did you see that their stock went up 30% because of the rumor that Tencent's going to buy them out? I think I watched a video where someone, like, I think it was like one of those Luke Stevens videos, and he went over how that's not going to happen. But
yeah,
we'll keep it short. It's not looking good for Ubisoft or Ubisoft, pardon me. But hey, they got they got $20 out of me for that Ubisoft Plus subscription for 1 month.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, damn, so good. they're flossing right now.
But yeah, so I did hear that, and I did read one article title. I didn't read the article about they can't do a hostile takeover. I'm just like, I bet you the one of the CEOs for Tencent's probably like, watch us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like,
anyway. Yeah, but anyway,
we'll get around this.
I didn't really want to try and shit on Ubisoft, but it's just so easy. All right, let's move into our real next topic, shall we? Digital Foundry's PS5 breakdowns. PS5 Pro. Jeez.
Yeah, how dare you?
Yeah, so let's analyze what features that they sort of looked into. It's mainly the pisser, right? So it's mainly that pisser. Can I just say, we just spoke about 5090s and 5080s, but the PS5 Pro has, like, they're talking up 8K already, and then people are talking about how the 5090 might be the first true 4K or 5K card, and yet anyway, I just feel like 8K, it's like, sit down please, PS5 Pro, you're drunk, you're not hitting 8K like with good visual fidelity. Like, what are we doing here? But
I don't even know why that's in the conversation. Like, I remember I think it was like even back in like 2014 or 2015 when MKBHD reviewed a Dell 8K display, and even then I was like, that's stupid, that's so dumb, because I remember at the time DisplayPort couldn't even support 8K, and you had to, the way to run the panel was through two DisplayPort cables, and then it used an internal T-Con to stitch together the two, so it was essentially just two 4K screens put together to make 8K. But yeah, like, what the hell are you doing, Sony? Why is that even a conversation? Why are you even trying to output anything in 8K other than like a photo mode or something?
Yeah, and I agree 100%, because apparently there was a GT7, Gran Turismo 7 running at 8K, and I was just like, why are we doing this? Just make all the settings higher and stick to native 4K if you so choose. So
yeah.
Anyway, sorry to sidetrack. I just had to say that. More games with 120 hertz modes, unlock frame modes were shown in the Last of Us Part 2 showing that Digital Foundry did. I'm just going to say my side of the PS5 Pro coverage on Digital Foundry, and I'll
go
let
first
you say
for
yours.
sure.
Yeah. I think the coverage showing Last of Us Part 2 wasn't as impressive as if it showed something like FF16 or Jedi Survivor, as I want to see a game that's not already practically flawless in its performance. Show me a clean bench. Sorry, showing me a clean bench and making it cleaner doesn't prove to me that the cloth and spray was actually good. Show me a dirty carpet with blood and wine stains, and I'll get excited. So my point is, Jedi Survivor and FF16 ran poorly in and out of combat, depending on which one. So Jedi Survivor was poor in combat, and Final Fantasy 16 was poor out of combat. Show me those games on the Pro. That's what I want to see. That's going to make me go, okay, cool. You fixed this. You fixed that. Don't show me a game that was already flawless running more flawlessly. It's just like, what? What are we fucking doing here? Sorry for swearing.
No,
what are we doing here at that point?
I swear all the time.
Yeah, no. Yeah, like I'm really passionate about this because, like the whole point of Digital Foundry is to show us like what this new technology is doing, and it's not showing me that if I'm not being shown it. Like if it's like showing me that it's running like things slightly higher and stuff like that, yeah, cool. Show me the bottleneck of good performance on Final Fantasy 16 out of combat, and show me the bottleneck that was annoying Jedi Survivor and things like that. Like I showed you a video of me playing Jedi Survivor on the PS5, and I had the whole screen pause for like 3 to 5 seconds.
Yeah,
you know, I went through a door and like I was just running around in performance mode, and that
game just got a PS4 and Xbox One release, and to this day, like they're still updating it, and it's been over a year since that game is released, and it still sucks on PC, and it still has issues on PS5 in the native version. But I agree with you 100%. Like I'm glad that you kind of said it. Like people, that's a PS4 game. We shouldn't be impressed with anything that they're showing on a PS4 game. Like I damn well expect it to run on the base PS5 with all of these settings. So like that kind of pisses me off. And then also as well, all of the things that they're showing off and they're glazing over, they're like 800% crop ins. So they're like super, like you're super stretched into the picture. And it's just like, we're going to show this later, but we have a poll that we had on our channel a while back, and I know our sample size is super small, like a lot of you players are playing in your living rooms, and it's just like you're 10 feet away from your TV, and even if you're closer, to really see those fine details that are a little bit sharper due to PSSR, you're not going to notice. Like, I'm sorry, you're not going to notice. There is some stuff that you might be like, oh yeah, that's visibly sharper, that looks a little bit better, but is it going to be like, wow, from your old console? No, it won't. It definitely won't. I don't know why they're showing PS4 games when exactly what you said. They should be showing us like, how does FF16 look? Are there still like frame pace stutterings when you're in the open world? Is there still traversal stutter? It's just like, or does the increased GPU size and then power like just completely brute force that? Like, show us that kind of stuff. And I feel like, this is a prediction, I might be totally wrong, I feel like it's because on the more modern games the difference is very negligible, and that is why they're showing us older games. That's just that's my thought.
Yeah, so obviously we're going to have the people, you know, defending it, saying that, you know, oh well, they're jumping it from 30 to 60. Yeah, sure, okay, cool, okay. But yeah, like I didn't even mention The Last of Us Part 2 was a PS4 game, so exactly. Thank you for clarifying that, Jimmy. 100%. So moving on to, do we personally think it's worth the upgrade? Now, from our BGR poll that we did, 80% of you viewers are sticking with the PS5 base model. For me, I'll quickly say mine, then you can say yours, Jimmy. I think it's pretty clear, but the coverage has reinforced that the item is not for me. So long as the PS5 offers me a smooth experience, I am happy with the PS5's visual fidelity. I just want smooth gameplay. I want 60 frames. Like with the PS5, I expect 60 frames.
Preach.
And like that's all I really ask for. And yeah, so I'll let you say yours. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty clear, but I just want to hear it out of your dirty little mouth, Jimmy.
My dirty little mouth. Well, everybody, I'm doubling down and I'm getting 2 PS5 Pros. No.
You're going to put them in SLR on your new PC.
Yeah, exactly. That's totally possible. All you got to do is you just plug one HDMI cable into the other, and then there you go, SLI for PS5 Pro. No, I definitely there's no reason to upgrade to the PS5 Pro, in my opinion, unless there's some game that comes out that like is like certified banger and is like, they show like clearly why it should be on a PS5 Pro, and it's not going to be released on PC anytime soon, sure, then I'll pick up a PS5 Pro. But I don't see a game like that coming out on the horizon. A lot of people will say like, oh, GTA 6. Well, I've never been big into the GTA game, so I'll just wait for the PC version to come out. So like, I don't care. Or if I have a bunch of friends that want to play it, I'll just play it on the base PS5. So like, you can suck it. What I do want to get into is like, we feel a certain way, but we know there's a lot of you out there who have already made up your mind. We don't want you to feel stupid for like wanting to buy a PS5 Pro. It's your money. You do what you want with it. Yeah. It's a free country in most places that we're broadcasted in. So yeah, who cares? But what we want to say to those people who are getting the PS5 Pro or wanting to get a PS5 Pro is, if you want to get the most out of those enhancements, make sure that your setup is ready to take advantage of those enhancements. Yep. So let's let you bring us into that a little bit more, Wara.
Yeah. So let's just quickly go back to the older poll that you mentioned. So 65% of our viewers are on their couch watching gaming. Sorry. So most TVs. I don't want to say most. A lot of TVs are 4K 30 hertz, but to get the most out of this, you're going to want at least 60 hertz minimum. And honestly, for someone who's going to be buying a PS5 Pro, you're going to want, if you can afford it, an OLED as well, just to get that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Chris.
I just want to say, like, it reminds me of, like, remember when phone cameras could first do 4K, and then like 4K was the big thing? It's like, oh, my phone camera is 4K, and you're like, cool, like your camera says 4K, but let's see the footage of it, and it looks like dog shit, right? So a lot of people might have like a 4K TV, but like you just mentioned, it might be only 4K 30. Like you got to check and make sure that it can do 4K 60. So you want to see that 60 hertz or above. A lot of people have TVs or displays with like really low quality panels, and I'm not trying to knock your setups, but like just look at your panels and like, can it produce proper colors? Like, is it able to support things like HDR, or can it do, or does it have like an IPS panel that has better viewing angles and things like that? Because I've definitely been a victim when I have two 32-inch LG displays. The one that I'm looking at, this is the 165 hertz one, that's 1440p. The one to my right is my 4K 60 hertz panel. And the reason why I use this one is because it has a really high color accuracy, which I use for video editing and photo editing and stuff like that. The first one that I bought, because I wanted the panel to not be glossy, because there's glossy panels and then there's matte panels, that don't have that glossy finish on it. So I wanted it to be matte, but I didn't look at the details, and it was a VA panel. So some of them will say VA, and you want to stay away from those because they're dark as shit and they have really terrible viewing angles. So unless you're looking like directly in the middle, you're sit perfectly in the middle of the screen, from any angle it looks dark and it looks like shit. So if you're rocking one of these TVs and you're thinking about getting a PS5 Pro, it's just like, bro, get your priorities in straight. Maybe upgrade your TV first, and you might be a lot cheaper these days, and you will probably dramatically increase your experience with your video games just from that alone, if you're rocking a shitty panel.
Yeah, so to call back to Digital Foundry's coverage, they said something in it about how the PS5 modes are also being left in games like The Last of Us, but they're also adding another mode that's not the Pro mode, which is uncapped frame rate, but it needs to have VRR on. So to optimize for the PS5 Pro, when you're upgrading your TV or make sure that you're ready for it, we recommend having one. Well, tell me if you don't agree. Having one with VRR, because the VRR is going to make it so that you can activate those like 120 hertz modes and things like that, and as well as making sure it's not a VA panel, try and get IPS, or then also OLED if you can afford it, but a bare minimum 60 hertz display for sure.
Yeah, VRR I'm not like a huge fan of. I think it's a cool feature, but like, again, like, yeah, it's 120 hertz output mode, but like you're getting, it's 40 FPS. Like it's just that's just it doubled, and then it's just making it a more sustained frame rate, so it feels more fluent, a little bit more than 30 does. And 40 is better than 30, but I want these games at 60 FPS. Like that's just like the kind of player that I am. But what I do find though, and I am a fan of this, is some games will have, like Stellar Blade is an excellent example of this. So they had their performance mode, which was lock 60, and the resolution dips a little bit, but it's awesome. It's locked 60 all times. And then they had their graphics mode locked 30, and then you get like the 4K output, and it looks great. And then they had their balance mode, which was the graphical fidelity of their graphics mode, but they just uncapped the frame rate, so it would run at whatever it would run, and you could get a little bit better than the 30 FPS experience. I love that. So it kind of meets the best of both worlds for people. But yeah, I think those are the big shout out features that you should be looking for in a TV to make sure you're getting the most out of your purchase. And like, again, we can't tell you how to spend your money, but I would 100% look at the specs of your current TV, make sure it's hitting those specifications. And if it isn't, upgrade that first. And then I bet you will dramatically increase the experience that you're having with these games.
100%. If you're going to rip the Band-Aid off and get a Pro, make sure your TV is going to utilize that look, those visuals and stuff. All right, I think we nailed everything there, Jimmy. You happy to move on to the next one?
Yeah. So again, I'm not buying a PS5 Pro, but that doesn't mean you don't have to either. So.
Yeah, it's your money, and no disrespect. We love the technology. It just isn't for us. All right, so hot news segment. Hot or not?
Hot or not?
Each week, the host gets 20 seconds to share a hot take on any gaming topic. After the take is delivered, the co-host decides if it's hot or not.
It's not just the co-host, because we could be biased, but we'll throw it to a panel of judges who will determine if our take was hot or not.
Yeah, that's it. Can we get Chuck Norris to be part of the panel?
We'll ask him.
No. Yeah, anyway. All right, so this week I'm going to be doing my hot or not, and the round of judges is going to decide if it is hot or not.
Yeah, so he gets 20 seconds, everybody. Wara, are you ready?
Oh, I'm ready.
Okay, so I'm going to give you your 20 seconds, and after I say one. Okay, 3, 2, 1, go.
Physical should never go away. We were sold on it being cheaper and more convenient, but only one part of that came true. It's not cheaper most of the time. And let's use a recent example. Horizon Zero Dawn Remaster has had the store put the price up on Steam and PlayStation, yet I can still buy a physical copy for $14. Physical allows you to not lose access if your account is hacked or banned because after you dox that kid who banged your mum.
You tried to slip that in the end, but he didn't quite make the buzzer, so he did not, in fact, bang my mom. So, judges, what do you think of this take?
This is not a banger. This is not a banger. And I know bangers.
All right. Are you ready, Jimmy?
I'm ready.
3, 2, 1.
Ghost of Yotei is going to suck, and it's not because the protagonist is a female. It's because Ghost of Tsushima sucked already. I think that game is dated, and I don't think it's going to age as well as people think it does. And that game has repetitive missions. They all suck. That game was just for people who sucked at Sekiro. So letting you know right now, and I banged your mom. Judges, what do you think of this take?
I said, God damn!
That was a pretty hot take, Jimmy.
I'm feeling sizzling from that hot take. I'm going to tell you right now.
That was good. My mum's got to cool down now.
Bazinga!
I hope you guys enjoyed that. Comment below if you have a hot take. I'd love to hear it. We always love fucking hot takes around here. That was just a little bit of fun. We're going to move straight into another fun topic. And now that we've done that, and this is things the PS5 Pro still can't do for $699.
Things the PS5 Pro still can't do for $699. Is one of them bang my mom?
No, actually. All right. All right, things the PS5 Pro still can't do for $699. Allow you to beat that boss you've died to 87 times. Hang in there, buddy. Make anyone care how much you love The Last of Us. Please stop. Make your missus stop nagging you to spend more time with her. Make an easy mode appear in Souls games.
Oh.
Make how much time and money you spend on Fortnite any less disappointing to your dad. Or make your mum stop calling me.
P.S. Call your dad.
Sort your mum out.
Those are definitely things the PS5 Pro still can't do for $699.
I don't make the rules. I just comment on them.
I love it. I love it.
All right. I hope you guys liked it. If you know some things that the PS5 Pro still can't do, make sure you comment them below. All right, moving on to our next topic, and this is leading off of sort of the other information we've commented before. If you've bought a PS5 Pro, you've set yourself in, you know what you want. There's other people who are on PC or maybe moving across to PC, not specifically because of the PS5 Pro, but for whatever various reasons, doesn't matter why. Let's discuss the trend of people shifting to PC, Jimmy. Let's just discuss. There is a little bit of a high entry level cost, like
totally.
Getting into serious PC gaming. You can dip your toes in, or you can just dive straight in and spend a lot of money. But there's different levels as to how you can jump in, and let's. I'll discuss from the budget friendly side of things, because I'm a little bit of a what's the word? I like good deals. I like shopping around.
Are you? What does that guy say? Are you a budget baller?
No, I think I'm a bit of a cheapskate, to be honest.
A budget baller is a nice way of saying that.
Oh, okay, yeah. So it's funny because
I'm glad you just come out with it. You're like, I'm a bit of a cheapskate.
Yeah, it's like I will make sure I get $10 cheaper physical by price matching when I go into EB Games, which is GameStop. But then I'll just go and rip the Band-Aid off and buy a collector's edition of something, So I'm not consistent. It's just like I save that $10 to make the other things seem not so expensive. But today, both of us are going to discuss some things where you can save money, or where you can save money and where you probably shouldn't try and save money. We did mention earlier that the PSU, the power supply unit, isn't something you should skint out on, because you don't want to undervolt, and that's the last thing you want to do is blow the rest of the system up, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
I'll just say a couple of things. So some good used parts to consider. Tell me if you don't agree, Jimmy, obviously 100%. So used parts that you could buy for a new PC build is a case, a RAM, your RAM sticks. So the CPU.
I'll RAM.
Yeah, a RAM.
I'll take one RAM, please.
No, because I was going to say a CPU, but I was like, RAM first. RAM, and then CPU or GPU. Now, there are some sort of risks with GPUs. Try your best to figure out that it hasn't been used for like crypto mining and stuff like that. That thrashes it out a bit. But those are some things, mainly the case, obviously the RAM, the RAM, and the CPU and GPU are the ones that are the main ones I suggest that could be used to buy secondhand if you wanted to save some money. And then some things that I do recommend nearly always buying new. And again, let me know if you don't agree, Jimmy. You're obviously more versed in building PCs. I suggest buying a motherboard brand new and the power supply unit, as already discussed. And also like coolers and fans, I do recommend getting new, because you don't want fans failing, but they're also really cheap as well. So just buy them new, yeah. But yeah, so I'll leave it to you, Jimmy, to sort of add to that.
Yeah, the one thing that I want to start off by saying is, like, I understand there's a market for both. So if you're a console player and you play in the living room, a gaming PC is definitely not for you. Like, those things just, they suck in the living room. They're not great of an experience in the living room setting. So if all your gaming is done in the living room on the couch, consoles are for you. If you are somebody that does like to game in like your office or like a gaming desk with like your gaming monitors and stuff, then yeah, I think that's a natural transition from console to a PC, because there are more things that you can do on it. It's likely going to be your daily driver for like streaming on Twitch or like watching YouTube videos, making YouTube videos, not even just for content creation, but just for enjoying content. And then guess what? You get to play games on it as well. So that's the market. Like our co-host Max, I offered to give him, because he lives closer to me than Wara does. I offered to give him my old PC and then just put a graphics card in it, and then he can play a lot of the modern games on PC as well. But he is a living room gamer, so that really doesn't make sense. Plus, he's got a significant other, and I'm sure that Alienware PC is a fucking eyesore in the in the living room console there. So it was just a no-go. So, but we understand that there are different markets, and you shouldn't feel bad if you're in one market. Also, for a lot of you who may not be technically savvy, and that's fine if you're not. Like, not all of us are nerds, that's fine. And some of you don't want to fuss with like a lot of like the technical aspects of running a gaming PC. You just want to be able to boot up your box and then start playing your games, and I get that crowd as well. So a lot of the things that Wara brought up there, I think like getting secondhand parts is a great way to save money if you know what you're doing, if you know what you're looking for. I think for a first timer, I would strongly recommend getting a pre-built PC. And we've brought this up in previous episodes. Like, I know like you could find 100 videos of like different PC content creators or like gaming creators who dunk on pre-built and like pull them apart and be like, look how shitty they did this, or like, look at the bad cooling that they did here. In a lot of cases, that is kind of true, but to be honest with you, the pros still outweigh the cons, because if you're not technically inclined, you've never built a PC before, you've never like done anything technical, building your own PC is very cumbersome. Like, it's very it can be daunting, especially for a first timer. Like, I've done it hundreds of times, and even when I built my latest ones, there's parts where I was just like, this is a pain in the bitch to do. Like, some of these plugs are like and then cable management is a real pain in the ass. But I would definitely say, now that like things have really come down in price, and like prices are a lot more reasonable now, and especially with the new graphics card series comes out, all of those pre-built manufacturers are going to be fleecing out these current models that are out now, and they're going to be for really good prices. And do you have to go for the super high end for your first PC? No, get a good mid-range PC, save up a few bucks. And
unless you got the budget.
Yeah. I would still say it's like, to get a decent PC that's gonna be worth your while, you're looking at like around $700 to $1,000. And I know it's a lot of money for a lot of people right now. It is a super high initial investment, but it does pay off in the long term. We'll get into that a little bit more in a bit, but for first timers, pre-builts are awesome. Great way to get into gaming. For those who have a pre-built and are looking into maybe getting a new PC, or maybe slowly building a PC, definitely, like, if you have a pre-built case, like the Alienware ones that are very proprietary, and they're meant for that specific logic board or motherboard, pardon me, and a few of their other parts. Yeah, you can't really reuse that case, so you need a new case. So getting a new case secondhand, even like, you could just start with like a brand new one off Amazon that doesn't have like a lot of cool features, like cool lights, or like a lot of the good plugs that you'd want on top of the case, without having to reach behind to the IO panel at the back. You get them for super inexpensive, and like, sure, they might be a little bit uglier, not as cool looking, but whatever, you're just starting out. And then other secondhand parts, like, I would find like a graphics card from a reputable seller. So like, I always look on eBay and I find people that have like really good ratings, and I get them off there. Is a good way to do it. But this is what I personally did, and then or you can tell me what you think. For my latest build, I just started with one part, and I was just like, okay, I'm going to save up enough money to get this case that I wanted. And then I got the case, and I just put it aside. And then I was like, okay, I know I want this motherboard. So we just saved up for that motherboard and then put it aside. So I just like gradually saved up and bought each part as I could. And then it was cool because I knew the end product that I wanted, but I didn't have the resources for it all at once. So I just slowly built it up. And then finally, when I had all the parts, I was like, all right, I'm going to build this bitch. And then I just put it all together. So I would definitely recommend that for anyone else. So like if you have a system right now that's working for you now, but you want a new one down the road, just slowly start saving up one part at a time. And before you know it, you'll have all the stuff and then you can just put it all together.
That's it. Yeah, 100%. So I really like the recommendation there, because that way you allow yourself to wait for sales on certain parts. If you know what you want, and you're not just gonna what's impulse buy, something. If you're buying the parts individually, slowly. I really like that way of doing it, and it's a sort of how I'm doing my new build as well. Like I said, I'm not going to buy the GPU until we have the 50 series details confirmed. The motherboard, like things when you're shopping for like a motherboard, is you want to see how old, how much more life expectancy and how old the motherboard is for that CPU style, like the
socket.
Yeah, the socket. Yeah, so you've got AM5, which is the one that I have here for my brother-in-law, and then I think they announced it was an AM4 they just announced.
So what's cool with AMD right now is I would say if you're looking to do a new build, AMD processor, Nvidia graphics card. Yep. So the reason why is because AM5 is their latest socket for their processors, and that just released this last processor series, so their 7000 series processors, and now they're on their next series of processors, and they're still using the AM5 socket.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And
cool.
What's cool is AMD's also been releasing updated AM4 socket CPUs, so their previous generation. That's like a totally new thing, where with Intel processors, once they move to a new socket, the old socket's pretty much dead to them, and they're not updating those CPUs. Yeah. And a lot of people are moving away from Intel CPUs at the moment because with the 13th and 14th gen, they've been having a lot of random issues due to the microcode of the processor. And it's you can look up a lot of videos explaining like what the issue is, but basically you're gonna have a lot of random stability issues. And it's funny because you'll watch streamers like Asmongold and even a really famous streamer who was recently deplatformed and has recently made a return. Comment down below if you can guess who maybe think I'm talking about. Has really great facial hair and wears sunglasses. But they were playing Wukong, and the first initial boot of Wukong, it has to compile shaders, and this is a notorious step that like really pushes the CPU of your system. And both Asmongold and this other streamer and some others, those are just some examples I could think of, their system crashed. It would cause their system to crash. And a lot of people were running into that, and you had to like run the game in Windows 8 compatibility mode to get around that. Bunch of weird shit. And it's because of the instability of those series of processors. So definitely when you're shopping for motherboards, make sure that it's compatible with the socket that your CPU is going to be. And then also, if you want to future-proof yourself, get a motherboard that's with the current generation socket. And then that way, if you want to upgrade your processor in like 2 or 3 years, you've got upgrades, rather than if you're like at the peak end of the lifespan, you've already got the most recent processor for that socket size. You might be shit out of luck later on.
That's right. And I do completely concur with your sentiment of getting a pre-built. I've bought pre-builts before as well. And while I'm not at the point where I want to do it again, I want to have my own custom build. Pre-builds are good for a couple of reasons. One, if there's an issue, especially if you're not tech savvy, if there's an issue, you get the whole thing fixed at once, as opposed to having to send back individual parts. So if you don't want to have to touch individual parts ever, really, then you can just stick to a pre-built. Plus, reselling a pre-built, especially like Alienware, as Jimmy suggested, they have better resale value, as opposed to some just like slap together PC that you put together yourself, like that's not meant to be derogatory, but from someone else who's buying a secondhand rig, they might go, oh, he put it all together himself. Is it all done correctly? Whereas Alienware, a secondhand person buying an Alienware, they know Alienware. So it might be easier to sell secondhand. So that way you can fund your next purchase and your upgrade. Now, sort of moving on, I feel like we'll move on a little bit to the part where there's a more of an upfront cost for PC.
Yeah.
But long term, it is cheaper. I've been on PS Plus for 7 years straight, I think it is. 7 years? Well, more than 7. Like 10 years straight almost. Jesus, that's a lot of money. That's basically what I'm paying for is cloud saves and being able to play online with others. That's the main reason I've been paying for PS Plus online, PS Plus on PlayStation. Now, am I against that charge? No. Sony wants to charge money to give me a service. I have to pay it. There's no way around it. I want to play online. End of discussion. But I don't like it. I don't like having to pay for it when I don't have to pay for it on PC. Now, I'm not going to say PS Plus needs to go away, but this is why people are moving. Part of why people are moving to PC. You don't have that ongoing cost. Steam gives you cloud saves for free. Epic Game Store gives out games for free. I have 100 titles on Epic Game Store. I've never even given them my credit card details.
Yeah.
Right, they're not asking you to sign up for anything really. You need an account. But I had an account from the pretty sure from the PS4, playing Rocket League from memory. Does that make sense? Either way, you don't need to sign up to anything, pay anything, nothing. They're just giving away games because they want to entice you to go across. And a lot of console gamers will come across and they don't necessarily have to go on Steam. They can go on Epic. You have a choice on PC. You can also GOG Galaxy Launcher, which is CD Projekt Red's own what's the word? Launcher, not launcher, platform. Their own platform on PC, and that's DRM free. Let's not go into that. But it's a platform there you can use. Also, if you want Ubisoft's launcher, if you want Blizzard's launcher for Call of Duty and World of Warcraft and Overwatch, etc. But a lot of that is now on Steam. So Steam is definitely the main one. Now, pricing. I don't like piracy. I want to clarify 100%. I'm not. Yeah. I hate piracy, and I don't like any part of it, except for the positive it brings in keeping prices down on PC. So it's sort of like a byproduct. A byproduct is keeping prices down. And once again, I'm not into piracy at all. I'd get everything legitimately on PC. But the fact that piracy exists keeps prices down on PC. So
I like, was it Ubisoft CEO or someone was like, like you don't really own your games when you buy them digitally. You're just like, you're renting a license. And it's like, oh, so when I'm pirating them, I'm not really stealing anything. Like I'm just like,
I'm stealing a license. It's not a physical. And
it goes both ways. But yeah, again, I just want to agree with Wara. I am also not for piracy.
Yep. 100%. Yeah. And sort of that, like I play mostly on console, but I play it like mainly because it's just smoother experience than on my current rig for PC. But and I love trophies. There's no denying it. But everyone has their own preference, and I think that the people who are saying PC games terrible, they've never tried it. It's sort of like, well, I get that you don't have to try it to know you hate it. That's perfectly understandable as well. But there is a big shift, and things are looking positive for PC gaming, and we're here to sort of help people transition, or if they have any questions. And people who just flat out don't want to do PC gaming, we're not here to try and convince you otherwise.
Yeah. I'm not going to waste my breath doing that. You've already made your decision, and it's just like, that's fine. Do what you do. But for those who are a little bit curious and just wondering, why do PC gamers act this way? And I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you what really turned me into a PC first kind of gamer. It was, I think 2 years ago now, I bought, funny enough, Ghost of Tsushima on disc, and I bought the PS4 version so I could upgrade to the director's cut for $10 because that's what they were advertising. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll do that. And then I'm like, oh, there's a Walmart near me that had the PS4 version on sale. And I was like, oh, just go get that and then upgrade it to the director's cut version. Cool. I bring it home, I put it in, and then I go through my PlayStation to upgrade it to the director's cut. And then it says it's $39 to upgrade. And I was like, even with the conversion from US to Canadian dollars, I'm like, it's not $39. What the hell is this? I contact Sony support, and it's not like random support. It's legitimate Sony PlayStation support. And I was like, hey, I'm trying to upgrade my game for the $10 as advertised. It's showing me $39. And they go, oh, it's because when you have different regions, or like when you have a different region disc, the price is whatever. And I'm like, it's not a different region disc though. I'm like, I bought it in Canada. I'm on a Canadian PSN account. It should be $10. And they're like, yeah, can you give us this number that's on the disc? And I gave them the number that's on this. They're like, yeah, that's a European copy of the game. And I'm like, how did I get a European disc from a game that I purchased in Canada that's in a case that has both English and French on it, because that's what you have to do in Canada, and I have a receipt showing that I bought the game in Canada? I'm like, why won't you just do what's right and just like let me upgrade? And they wouldn't. They flat out wouldn't. They're like, nope, sucks to suck. Don't buy European discs next time. And I'm like, how am I supposed to know that when I'm buying it from a Canadian retailer? They're like, I don't know. Just don't do it next time. And I was like, sweet. So they literally told me to go fuck myself. They literally were like, go fuck yourself. Buy next time. Don't cheap out and buy the full director's cut edition. And I was like, hey, never again. And what I love about PC is that I'm not strongholded into purchasing from one place. I can get my games from anywhere I want. I can find the best deals. I could buy Steam games from not on Steam. So I could use services like cdkeys.com. We're not an affiliate, but I love that website. I'll always recommend it. And I can find incredible deals. So like I could buy games that, yeah, they're a bit older, but they're like $5, $10. They're like super inexpensive. Whereas if you find the same game on PSN, they're still charging like AAA prices for these games. They're still charging like almost $60, which I think is ludicrous. Mm-hmm. And that one experience, and then plus just when my friend bought the latest Battlefield game and when it was shit when it first launched, and he's not the type of guy that like buys a lot of new games. He only buys like one game every now and then because he's a father now and he has to be responsible with his purchases. Not saying you're not responsible, Wara.
Oh, I'm not.
But he was fucking choked because it was like that was his one bit of money that he was allowed to spend on games, and he bought a game that sucked and Sony wouldn't refund him. And then it was just like, so yeah, sometimes you hear these stories where they're like, oh yeah, Concord, clearly a piece of shit, give everyone their money back, give all 500 people their money back. Or like Cyberpunk, yeah, the game was not what it was promoted to be, give everyone their money back. So that was my personal experience that really made me go, never again, I'm going to be a PC player first.
Yeah, that makes sense. There's things like that where people just get like, not going to do it anymore, just like, no, not doing this anymore. Sort of like my missus with Netflix, so let's not get into that. She won't play for Netflix ever again. But yeah, so with that, it's like talking about how you have like little control with consoles. That's why on consoles I do my best to just buy physical. I can lend the disc to a friend, I can price match before I buy it, I can get old ones from like thrift shopping and stuff like that and still use them. And I'm still not happy with digital purchase regulations and rules. I don't like that you can't share digital copies with friends. It's just like you can do that game share thing.
Pain in the ass.
Yeah, I'm not giving my password to anyone else. It's not about not trusting that one person. It's just I shouldn't have to.
Yeah, exactly. The end user should not have to do that. I think it's so smart that you buy everything on disc. Like me, I buy the games I do buy on my PS5 all digital, and that's fine for me because I don't like changing discs, and I was a small gripe. But I have a friend that likes playing games. He also has a PS5, and he has all these games that I own that he's never tried or like is wanting them, but he just doesn't have the funds at the moment to purchase those games, or he shouldn't. He's saving up for other stuff, as he should, because he's a responsible person. Again, not knocking either of us. I'm just saying we're degenerate gamers, and this is what we do. Anyway, but I was just like, man, I wish I could just lend you these games, but I can't. I almost just want to lend him my whole PS5 and just here you go. Just I need it back when the next PS5 exclusive comes out and I want to play it. But I think that's dog shit. And then also, I just really don't like that experience. And I don't like that for a digital copy that they don't have to pay distribution for, they don't have to pay for the manufacturing of discs or cases, but somehow is the exact same price as a physical copy. I think that's bullshit. I also think it's bullshit for digital copy or digital versions of the games that you have downloaded, installed on your PS5. If you unplug your internet connection and your internet is disconnected for, I think, more than 24 hours, there's no way for them to register the DRM for that game, so that game becomes unplayable on your console.
Yeah.
Complete dog shit. So a game that you paid for, you don't own, if you're not connected to the internet for whatever reason, you can't play that game because Sony has no way of telling that you own that game.
Yeah, and then the other thing is that they want to tell us that a disc and digital purchases is not a purchase, it's a license. I have no gripe with them wording it like that. They can say it however they want. You know what I mean? It's sort of like how I had an argument with YouTube about YouTube Premium and them recommending things to me. I said, that's an ad. You're giving me my money back for this month because that's an ad. And they're like, no, that's called recommendations. I said, I can call a grape a banana and it's still a fucking grape. I said, I don't care what you call it. That's a fucking ad. So I got my money back because they were sending me all these recommendations. I was like, fuck off. But my point is, they can call it a license all they want. But I'm telling you right now, it functions as though I own it, because when I put it in this PlayStation, I can play the game. I put the disc in another PlayStation, I can play the game. Why don't they let the licensing, or another account as well can play it? Doesn't matter who has it. Like the disc is able to go to a different account, whoever's playing it on the PlayStation, right?
Yeah.
There's no reason why in 2024 they can't adjust it so that the license that you buy it, that you shouldn't be allowed to shift the license to another account. And they shouldn't make it so that when you get your account banned on PlayStation, that you lose access to those games. That is also scummy. You get, like I said in my hot take, which wasn't a hot take in the end because people agree with it. That's fine. But like you lose access. I heard someone else. He's a streamer. He does a podcast, and he is just like flat out angry because of all his purchases, and he lost his account, and they're all gone. And it's like, I know the same is true with Steam. With if you lose your account, you're gone, right? When I say lose, like lose access to your account, not so much getting banned, because I believe if you get banned on Steam, you can still use the games. Is that correct, Jimmy? That's correct.
Yeah, you can just go in the folder and like open the executable from there most times.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so you can like that's another reason why PC is better. But like the idea of me buying physical and having digital, not physical anymore, for a PlayStation, it ain't happening. I ain't trusting Sony like that and losing access to all these games. Like,
you know what's scary too?
Yeah.
Sorry to like cut you off. It's just like a lot of people position like owning games on disc as I have a protected copy of this disc, and it's just like, no, you don't. Like all Sony has to do, or like any of the console manufacturers, they can just put out a firmware update and it can make those discs useless.
100%, yeah. And I'm not in that crowd, to be perfectly honest. I don't sit here and think, I've got my disc, I've got access. It's just, I can only really comment on now, and I know long term they could shut the store down. Like they could shut the PS5 store down tomorrow. Like, and I get that. And that firmware update, I feel like that will happen. Like probably 4 years after the PS6 launches, they could do that. Like, I 100% agree. 100% agree that we don't, and that's why I said I don't mind when they say that it's not ownership. Sure, whatever. But for now, I like the discs. I like being able to give it to. I've also got a couple of friends who, you know, they got a lot of kids and they want to play games, but they can't justify it, and I lend the games to them. And it's good that more people get to enjoy games like that. And you know, they've got Steam has now family share, so you can share games with others on Steam. It's a little bit convoluted. Sorry, I shouldn't use the word convoluted, but you can share like that. But the price point being lower on Steam because it's on PC is good. There's more competition. I'm not an advocate for there being more storefronts on the PS5. I think that idea is just weird and it goes against what a console is. But just make the prices more reasonable. And like you said, Jimmy, they don't have to distribute all these games, and yet they're the same price as physical. It makes no sense. I think
it's stupid. It's like I boot up my PS3 and I go in the PSN store, which still works. A ton of those games that are fucking ancient are still like $69, or like they're still like the same price they were when they launched. And it's like those games should be like, I don't like, again, I'm not for piracy, but when you're charging $40, $50, $60 for a game that's a decade old, it's like, I'm going to find a way to get it for cheaper. Like, that's all I'm going to say. And one other scummy thing that I think Sony does is when you have to pay for PS Plus to be able to save your save files on a USB drive, which I think is stupid.
Hang on, say that again. Say that bit again.
Yeah, so because in all of my easy mode guides that I make for the Souls games, I always tell people save scum. Like save your save file on console. You can either save it to a USB drive or you save it to the cloud. For PlayStation, you have to be a PS Plus member to do either. So if you don't have a PS Plus subscription, you cannot save your save files to a USB drive. That function is not there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy God.
I get the like uploading into the cloud. You need the PS Plus subscription. That's fine. I get that. But to save it on a USB drive that you own, that's physical in front of you, you have to have that service. I think that is dog shit. I think that's stupid.
That is a dick move. That is completely scummy. That's like, we're not going to give you any workaround. Wow.
Yeah. Because I have a lot of people who will be like, I can't do that because I don't pay for PS Plus. And I'm like, you can like go on CD Keys and get like 1 month for $10. But like,
wow,
I get it. $10 is a lot of money in a lot of different places. So like, some people are just like, they put all of their money into having the console. So like those little extras, they can't justify. But these are all just reasons that, like, for me personally, why I've moved to playing PC first. But again, like I don't hold an allegiance to a platform. I just prefer PC because I can play the way that I want. So if I don't want ray tracing, I can turn all that shit off and I can just go for maximum FPS and I can maximize all of the performance that my monitor gives me, so I can get like 165 FPS in games. If I want like a moment where like, okay, I want to see like what the fidelity looks like in Cyberpunk, I could turn all that shit on and prioritize that and then just have that as an experience. I have different places where I can purchase games. I can buy games brand new and get like 10% off. I can buy games that are old and pay like $5 or $10. I can get like a ton of avenues to get all the games that I want, and it's just a lot more limited on the console. So console, like Wara is doing, you can buy physical, so you can find deals to get physical, and that's pretty much it. Like, so dealing with physical, selling it back or returning it, I don't recommend returning it because you got to go through gripes sometimes with that, but that's kind of the best way, because if you buy digital, most times they won't return it. It's really hard to share with friends. But for like, the only reason why I buy digital is because convenience, because like I don't like having to switch discs, and it's just me playing my PlayStation. So that's just, and then plus I don't want to go. For me, it's a little gripe. I think they fixed this with one of the recent firmware upgrades, but I hate that even after you've installed the game, when you have to insert the disc drive makes noise. Like it's still acting like it's reading the disc. And I'm like, bitch, you're not reading anything on there. Like you're just using it for DRM. It's not reading any data off of there. So that shit irritates. I know it's just like first world problems, but That's just my personal gripe.
Well, the disc even makes a noise when you turn the PlayStation on from memory. So if I turn it on, I'm pretty sure the disc spins as well. Like it makes more noise. I think.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. But I'm just so used to it because I've always got a disc in. But yeah. No, I agree with your points there for sure. Yeah. Once again, comment below if you got any sort of questions about, moving to PC and things like that, getting deals. I just want to clarify that we don't do a segment of moving to console because moving to console is so simple. It's not that we're trying to get people across. It's just people do it just by buying the console. It's not like you need a tutorial or recommendations and things like that. But
maybe we should do like a future episode where like we do like kind of like the best way to get deals on different consoles. So like with like the Nintendo Switch, it's like definitely get the Switch online service so you can get all the emulators and like get access to all that stuff, or like where to find that. Xbox, it's like get Game Pass, I guess. Download the Netflix app because that's what you'll be using it for. Do you use your consoles for like watching Netflix, or do you just like you have a smart TV?
No, we have a smart TV.
I am shocked at how many people use their consoles to like watch Netflix, and I'm like, don't you have a smart TV or like another?
Yeah, I feel like 30% of people who get stick drift on consoles are just like eating Doritos while they're watching Netflix and they're flicking the thing through and it just gets all dirty.
Bro, I was ashamed when I got stick drift on my DualSense controller because I'm like, I keep these fucking things clean, and I'm just like, what did I do? And then so like, I definitely felt the shame when I was taking it apart and was cleaning it, and I was just like, oh, it means I gotta up the cleaning schedule for my DualSense controllers. Because I feel the same way. I feel like people who get a lot of stick drift, I'm like, I think it's a you thing. Like I think it's just like you eat shit over top of it, your fingers are dirty, and like you get a lot of grime in there. You're disgusting people is what I'm trying to say, and you should clean your shit more.
Did you get a launch PS5?
Yep.
Is that the one that's stick drift? Because I got stick drift on my launch PS5 DualSense, and I got it swapped over. And they happily just swapped it straight over. And I was like, can I pay the difference to make it a better one? And they're like, sure. So I got not a better one, a different color. So I swapped it over for a different color. So
I'm not going to lie. I tell a quick short story. My controller that came with my launch PS5, early on in my YouTube career, I got sponsored by these custom button people that make custom buttons for controllers, and then they were like, do you want like a custom faceplate for your PS5 controller and some cool buttons? And I was like, sure. And then so I took my controller all apart, put their custom faceplate on, and I painted it, and then I hated the way that controller felt. Still felt sticky, like no matter how long I let it set out to dry. And then
some paint does that.
So I ended up just turfing that controller.
Yeah.
So that was my logic. So now I have. You have the two different colors.
I've got white as well, but it's.
I just have my dual black DualSense, and then the one with the Xbox buttons on it.
Yeah. I love it.
People are like, sacrilege.
Yeah, play the clip with Phil Spencer saying the X and Y is in the wrong spot.
The X button's in the wrong place.
It's the wrong place.
The X is supposed to be over there.
Oh yeah.
The X is in the wrong spot. Did you hear Microsoft doing a takedown of that clip? It's a 7-second clip of Phil Spencer saying that's on the wrong. The X is in the wrong spot.
Yeah, I heard that they took down that.
Yeah, they're doing takedowns. So yeah, maybe we can't.
I have an Xbox controller, and it's also got a custom faceplate on it that they gave me, but this stick broke. Ooh. So
you can't play Hellblade. You can't play Hellblade. It's the only button you need.
Yeah, just this. No, but that's why I put the stickers on this one, and then
Yep. I see. Sorry.
What sucks is that when you play games on the Xbox app, it doesn't recognize your DualSense in a lot of cases. So I have to plug in my DualSense, and then I have to run this application called DS for Windows, and then it like tricks the application into thinking it's an Xbox controller.
Yeah. So tell us below what your favorite controller is, whether you prefer the Xbox controller on your PC or the DualSense. I'm interested to know.
I thought you were going to say favorite controller in general. I'm like, I want to find the psychopath who says Nintendo 64.
You know what's funny? I love that. I still love it, but I feel like if I played with the stick as an adult, that middle stick, I would snap it in like 3 seconds. Because even as a kid, that felt soft.
I want to say something real quick, and then we can move on to our next
That's
segment.
so good.
On Nintendo Switch, they just recently released Turok Dinosaur Hunter, and it's on their like N64 mature emulator. Like it's got its own emulator for it.
There's two games on it as well. That's hilarious.
Yeah,
on the mature one. Sorry,
I tried playing that game, and I was like getting a migraine from like how fucking weird it felt, because like your movement and camera was all done with the one joystick, and it just like it feels like garbage. Like it feels like you're playing Demon Souls in fractured mode and like the reverse mode. Like it's awful.
Yeah, okay. I have that downloaded and I was like, oh, mature, what games are going to be here? And it's like 2 games. I'm like, oh, okay. But they must be adding more for it to be a mature segment, surely.
I didn't even know there was a second game, so I'm going to go see what that is next. I'll put it up on screen here, but...
Yeah, I think it's Perfect Dark, from memory. Yeah.
I think we're getting the signal to wrap it up because the fucking leaf blower is going where I am.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, okay. All right, next segment. BGR Recommends. All right, so what are you recommending this week, Jimmy?
Okay, so to continue with spooky month, October, last week I recommended Resident Evil 2 and 3 Remake as a combo. I'm going to continue with that thread, and I'm going to also recommend Resident Evil 7 Biohazard and also Resident Evil 8 Village. They are a departure from kind of the third person in their FPS now, and I feel like they lean more into the horror-esque portion of like the survival horror series. They're still great games, and they go on sale all the time now. I believe you can even buy them on iPhone. But don't buy them on iPhone. Oh, okay. But definitely, if you're looking for like a fun weekend playing a game that has some good jump scares, check out Resident Evil 7, Resident Evil 8. For me personally, I dunked on those games because I thought they were stupid, because you would shoot a werewolf in the face point blank 8 times and it would still be alive. I played the game on the easiest setting and I had a blast. And so who cares if you play it on easy? I feel like that's just I had a way more fun time on the easiest mode, and then I just enjoyed it for what it was, an interactive like horror movie. So, and the puzzles, I did have to look up some, but I'm terrible at puzzles. So even someone who's terrible at puzzles, I still had a good time.
That's good to hear. Yeah, so this week I'm going to recommend now the only Resident Evil game I've really given a good try to, and that is Resident Evil 5.
Really? I heard 5 and 6 were just dog shit and not even worth playing. So tell me more.
So the reason why, and I was expecting you to say that, the reason I'm saying to do it is because there's been a bit of controversy about how it can't be remastered because it would just not work in today's society. So I want to...
Is that the one where they got in trouble because a certain genre of people were made into zombies, and then they said that you shouldn't make that certain genre of people zombies?
Basically. Yeah, that's basically. So that's why I'm saying play it, and I want to hear from you guys. If you have played it, comment below if you have already played it, and whether you think that's just nonsense or what are your thoughts. But I remember playing that with my partner at the time, and it was like definitely bad. Definitely a hard game, and for sure.
I feel like you can get that game for $5.
Yeah, it should. Yeah, exactly, and that's why I sort of want to recommend it. It shouldn't be expensive, and I want to hear people's thoughts and feedback from our community and what they think. And the other thing I'm going to recommend is a bit of technology, and that is a DualSense controller. Even if you're on PC, I heavily recommend getting a DualSense controller. PlayStation is adding more and more support for the controller on PC, and I believe that if you haven't tried it, that it's well worth the money. It is a little bit more expensive than an Xbox controller, which you may already be using on PC, but I definitely recommend giving it a try. Like Jimmy said, DS for Windows will help out with compatibility for things like the Xbox app or on Steam. It won't save you every time. Sometimes for a game like Dark Souls on Steam, you'll have to plug in the controller to make it actually function. Unless you got a workaround, Jimmy, it's still the case?
So Steam has a really great compatibility mode, and your DualSense will work in like I think now like 95% of games. The games will still show the Xbox controller layout, like the Xbox buttons. That's why I put these stickers on, because I don't remember the XYBA off by heart, but I do remember where square, triangle, circle, square is, or triangle, circle, X square, cross square,
cross.
Yeah.
It's Ubisoft.
But for the Xbox app and even GOG, like you have to have an Xbox controller. But now if you plug it in and you use a program like DS for Windows, that'll work around. And then randomly, but I chalk it up to let's just say the interesting method that I used to get Dark Souls Prepare to Die edition on my PC. I have to plug in an Xbox controller, and then that's the only way that I could get it to work. But Dark Souls Remastered and the rest of the From Software games that are on Steam all work with the DualSense without wireless. If you play Sony games like Returnal, I'm sure like Ratchet and Clank and some of the other Sony games that have actual DualSense features, they do make you plug in the controller, which I think is kind of stupid. But that's just the way that they do it. Final Fantasy 16 even works with the haptic feedback, because I have to press R2 to open big doors.
But yeah, no, that's good. Do you have any final thoughts, Jimmy, on the? No,
I just hope you guys were excited to listen to a nerdy kind of technical episode. I hope you enjoy this kind of stuff. This is something that me and Wara are passionate about. We just want to do every now and then when we don't have to act cool in front of Max when he's here, because we both think Max is just so cool. But no, happy to be here for another week.
All right. Well, that is the end of episode 8 of the BGR podcast. Thank you, everyone, for being here, and everyone on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Go check them out if you haven't already. A great place to listen to the podcast. Once again, comment below if you have anything you want us to discuss. And thank you all for being here again. FornaTRON and Wara, I have been your host, and we will see you guys next week.